This is a refurbished Steam Deck purchased directly from Valve. So they just started selling refurbished Steam Decks on the Steam store. And this is actually a surprisingly good deal, if it is not a complete disaster. Getting DK oldies flashbacks right now. So the main story with this is that it is significantly cheaper. So all three of the variants of the Steam Deck are available as refurbished. I purchased the 64GB, which the brand new MSRP is $400, but I only paid $320 for this, which $320 for a Steam Deck is a very, very good deal. And a little bit later in the video, I'm going to be spending that $80 that I saved on upgrading it to above the spec of a brand new one. But the real question is, did they refurbish this correctly? This, I will actually say, looks like basically like new Steam Deck packaging, which is nice. We've got ourselves the refurbished power supply. I will actually say, immediately points to them. They're putting some effort into this. They're actually putting refurbished on the box, so there's no question whatsoever. So we'll take a look at that in a second. And we do have a case. Yeah, we may have just gotten an actual good deal here. Case looks nice, fresh, clean. Let's take a look at our Steam Deck. Oh, look at that. It's even got a little lock on it. And I'm gonna cut the tag. Let's see what we got here. Okay, the big reveal is, it's not terrible! Yeah, boy! This looks almost brand new. There's a minor little bit of scuffing on the back here, so you can see right there, as well as around the Valve logo. Let me see if I can actually try to clean that up a little bit. It is a little scuffed, but honestly, it's on the back. For something that's refurbished, I mean, they're pretty clear on their site that it is not going to be perfect, but there may be some minor cosmetic defects. But the thing that I care way more about is the actual display. And I will tell you, once I get the little specks of dust off there, that display is flawless. There's no scratches, there's no scuffs. I was really nervous about this because I was like, why are they selling it for so cheap? Like, they could sell this for like $350 and I think people would still buy it. Because considering that you're buying a $400 Steam Deck for $320, I mean, that's legitimately a good deal. So we do have a refurbished power adapter. Oh, actually, you know what? No, hold on a second. The power adapter's scuffed. Why is the power adapter scuffed? Okay, I think it's fine. That took like a very bizarrely long time. So let me actually just try to set it up real quick. But yeah, I'm seeing no dead pixels. So after getting SteamOS up to date, everything does seem to be fully functional. Now you might look at those more expensive options and think, well, you know what? I want 256 gigs of storage. That's still way cheaper than the original version. But to that I would say, why don't you do what I'm doing? Buy a 64 gig Steam Deck as soon as they actually show up and upgrade it yourself, because I saved $80, and with $80, I got a bunch of upgrades, including this, a 256GB SSD that I'm going to install. So this was about $28, which certainly not cheap, but considering that this only has 64 gigs of fairly slow storage out of the box, that I think would be the #1 upgrade for a Steam Deck. Because if you get like a 256 or 512, they actually have SSDs, which are quite fast, but the base storage on the 64 gig is just slow. And yes, you can upgrade it with a micro SD card, and that's fine for some games, but again, we're getting to the era where a lot of AAA titles these days kind of need SSD speed. So I'm gonna be upgrading this with a few items. First of all, with the SSD, I also have a transparent back. Now I got this shell just because I thought it looked cool, but it works out perfectly because the only cosmetic damage whatsoever to the system is a little bit of a scuff on the back shell, which I can replace because I'm good at thinking ahead, or I just bought the shell because it looked cool. So I will say Valve have done a lot of smart things with the Steam Deck. So there's actually an entire iFixit page all about different modules. You can actually buy replacement parts for the Steam Deck from iFixit, which I think is terrific. But that being said, the parts that I'm going to be installing today are meant more so as upgrades, not just replacements, because theoretically nothing is broken, because as far as I know, it is all fully functional right out of the box when you buy it from Valve Certified Refurbished. So Valve claimed that they go through over 100 tests to make sure that the Steam Deck is fully up and running at as good, if not better specification than a brand new model, which is very admirable. Now, as far as where they actually get these models, I mean, I assume that these are probably like returns. I don't know why else they would have a bunch of them. And especially considering that when they put this live, they have not been able to really put a lot more of these in restocks. I'm assuming that's actually gonna be kind of hard to get your hands on these. Okay, well I found one problem. There's no screw here. I'm trying to unscrew it. Do you see this? There's no screw there. So there's one screw missing. That being said, that does not really matter too much. So you just get in here. Usually, yeah, when it comes to like things with controllers, usually like the triggers are a good spot to work with. We've got some nice, easy to open plastic clips. So that's very simple. Again, this is not an iFixit ad in any way whatsoever, but I will say if you're doing something like this, honestly, iFixit makes some really helpful tools and guitar picking stuff that I like to work with. There we go. All right. Inside we have a very clean looking device. The ribbon cable says beautiful. Well, I appreciate it. You're beautiful too, Valve. Everything in here has been very, very well cleaned. So either this was essentially never used, or they replaced the internal components or something, but like I am seeing absolutely no signs of dust, debris, any kind of issue at all. Now I don't actually see where the SSD is, but I do have easy access to my joystick modules. So I will say that the joysticks on the Steam Deck are quite good, but they are standard joysticks, which means that they are prone to dust, debris, and eventually just sort of breaking down, which is why with my $80 budget, I have opted to go with the Ghillie Kit Hall Sensing Joy-Con upgrade specifically for the Steam Deck. Now, I wanted to do this regardless, but I will say that this actually looks like a super easy installation from this side. I see 3 screws and a ribbon cable. So I don't know if it's actually going to be that easy, but I plan on upgrading those joysticks, upgrading my SSD, and installing this transparent back cover. So this is a clear back shell that I purchased off of Amazon from JS Aux, and it was $22. Oh, look, it already has the buttons on there too. Oh, look at that. Also, wait, remove the plastic sheet before use. Is that a little like heatsink on the back? So you put this side by side with the original Steam Deck, there's really no actual heat dissipation that's going on here. It's just plastic with this little sort of cover on it. But this actually has a, I would say a very simple heatsink on it. What are these? No, don't mind me. I didn't quite understand. There was so many of them. I don't, like, it's a party pack. Let me dive into this and start upgrading this Steam Deck. With our battery removed, we now have access to our SSD. I'm just gonna unscrew my SSD. Oh, look at that, okay. So the stock storage has this little like metal sleeve on it. So if I pull it off, you'll see that, yeah, this is 64 gigabytes of what should be eMMC storage, which is just basically like a slow SSD. This is what you would typically find on like a very low end like Windows laptop or something that, you know, speed is not that important. You obviously can game on this, it's fine, but we're gonna make a big upgrade to a real proper SSD. So I'm going to take the little sleeve and I'm gonna slide it back on, line it up like that, and then take that single screw and reinstall it. Cool, boom. Number 1 upgrade already done. We have upgraded from 64 gigs of slow storage to 256 gigs of fast storage. Next, let's install our sticks. So I'm again just gonna try to YOLO this, but this looks massively simple. So I see that there's a ribbon cable on the left and the right, and then I see that there's 3 screws. So I'm just gonna undo those. The fact that they make these joysticks easily upgradable on their own little like daughter board is incredibly cool. Look at that, that's it. That was the simplest thing I've ever seen. That's just the whole thing. Props to Valve for making something so modular and so easy to work on. So this is my Ghillie Kit upgrade kit. So if I open it up, they've got it very nicely set up here. So yeah, so basically, I mean, I'll look at the instructions, but I think I just replaced one for the other. That looks very simple. So this is the original joystick, and this is the new one. Hall sensing joysticks actually use magnets, which means that not only do I personally think that they feel a little bit better, but importantly, they are way, way less prone to failure, which means that if you want to use your Steam Deck for a long time, this may be a worthwhile upgrade. So I'm just gonna pop this off. I assume it just comes off. Oh my God, oh, wait, what's that? Oh, there is a point to do that. Oh, do I have to solder? No, I don't want to solder. Oh, right, because the Steam Deck has a touch sensor on the actual stick top, which means that if I want to do this right, I need to solder. Oh. Woo! 800 degrees, boys! Yeah. Almost, there we go. We're free. Yeah. Okay.
Just wipe it down on there. Yeah, makes it easy.
Next, let's do the same in reverse. So I'm going to hold this on the side here. I'm just gonna heat it up and then put it in. Get melty.
Yep. It should just be able to let it actually. Yeah.
That's it. Done. I now have 2 brand new shiny joysticks ready to go. So with our freshly soldered joysticks, the next step is to install them and importantly make sure that they work and they are calibrated. So it should be fairly simple. All I need to do is connect this little ribbon cable, maybe put like 1 screw in, and then I actually need to boot up the Steam Deck. First of all, just to make sure that these function and work. and secondly, to make sure that my touch sensor works as well as the calibration has been done. If not, I will resolder stuff or cry. Steam Deck is firing up. I'll be a little careful since it is all very exposed on the back, but I really just want to make sure that it is functioning. I feel like the Steam Deck sometimes takes a slightly longer amount of time than I expect. So, first test, does the left joystick work? No, it does not. Does the right joystick work? Oh, okay. That's bad. Oh, yeah, okay. There's your problem. Left joystick is showing wildly off. But the right joystick, oh wait, the right joystick actually seems to work. So maybe what I'll do is this. I will just pull this ribbon cable out and put it back in. That's what I'll do. Now we're gonna open up the test again. Oh, that worked. Left now shows 0, 0. So I move it around. Oh, that was it. I just had to plug it and unplug it. I'm pretty much good to start sealing everything up and putting our brand new backplate on. This should be really straightforward. The only thing I need to do is remove this little plastic piece over the heat sink. Oh, it's actually got a thermal pad on it. Oh, interesting, okay. So, yeah, it's very sticky. So the only thing with this, I just need to make sure I'm correctly attaching it. So basically, this is a little thermal pad and a little piece of what looks like to be maybe aluminum or something that attaches to this back heat shield. So basically, right here is where our actual like SoC is. So that heat comes through and is dissipated here and run through this little fan and the heat pipe. But this is just going to help remove maybe a little bit more heat. It's certainly not necessary because the stock shell doesn't have it, but I mean, I didn't realize that there was an upgrade here at all. I just thought it looked cooler. So if I have this lined up right, it should just click into place. Wow, dude, this looks cool. It is rare that I buy something refurbished and do a bunch of work on it myself, and the end result is, oh hey, this actually worked. But this is legitimately fun. All right, my friends, the Steam Deck is complete. So I have reinstalled SteamOS, so everything is back up and running. I will say 256 gigs is also not an enormous amount of space. I literally have one game, which is Apex installed, and I only have 141 gigs left. So, you know, if you're gonna do this upgrade, you may want to splash the cash for a 512 gig SSD, but I want to stay inside the $400 budget. And importantly, I am going to be utilizing that micro SD card slot once I fill up the SSD, but realistically, I'm not gonna play that many games. It's fine. A couple of notes. So everything went together fine. I'm gonna play some Apex to make sure the sticks and everything work. But all the tests inside SteamOS that make sure all the controllers and stuff work, everything is showing up just fine. One interesting thing I've noticed. What is that noise? So I took the Steam Deck home over the weekend, and I think the fan is an issue. Now, it's certainly something I could live with, but as you can hear from this clip, it's quite loud. To me, it almost reminds me of the PSP, where you kind of hear it like sort of grinding as you move it like forward and backward, especially playing a game like Baldur's Gate 3, which is quite demanding. So here's what I'm gonna do. I have ordered a brand new fan from iFixit, which costs $25. So one of two things is about to happen. I'm gonna swap it into my Steam Deck, and either this fixed the problem, in which case I did have a faulty fan, or it doesn't, in which case either I gotta live with it, or maybe it's the shell that's like putting some extra pressure. I don't think so, because the shell's not like physically touching the fan, and the fan is completely screwed in the exact same way that it was when I first bought it. I've not unscrewed or removed the fan in any way, so let's put a new fan in here and hope that that fixes the issue. Because if not, I don't know. Is this really the way they pack it? I mean, this is a great packing job, but this seems a little bit excessive for what is a fan. That's it. That's the whole thing. But at least they got some cool iFixit stickers. So for context, it does look like I've got the same style of fan. So this one matches up in OOP and OOP. Yeah, so this is exactly the same fan. Oh, so the heatsink is actually kind of attached to this fan. So I need to actually pull this little sticker up to get it out of the way. Again, looking at these two side by side, I mean, there's no real physical differences that I can see. I wanna make sure that I'm doing this right, so I'm gonna put it all the way in. I'll put a little sticker on it to make sure that our airflow is sealed off, which is fairly important for the fan to be pushing through the heat pipe. And with any luck, we will no longer have a grinding issue. And if we do, I'm gonna be sad. So one of the things I noticed, and the reason why I didn't pick up on this to begin with, is that the fan didn't make any noise at all until it was at fairly high RPM. So if you're just kind of like chilling or, you know, scrolling through the menus or whatever, it's not enough to actually hear anything. But once you get into a game, especially something that's stressing it, the fan noise becomes a lot more significant. Well, I will say, The fan is, oh, wait, the fan is spinning. I didn't even hear it. Oh, dude, that fan is immediately quieter. Just how much air is coming out of that? All right, I'm gonna let me get in the game. So, you can see right here, the fan is spinning at about 3,000 RPM. I don't get too excited. I don't get too excited. It might be fixed though. It might be fixed. All right, so we're in the game. So, GPU sitting at 95%, temperatures are 67, 70 degrees. So the fan is certainly having to work right now. So I'll put it right up to my mic so you can hear it. There's absolutely no grinding. Compared to the old fan, this is almost dead quiet. So I guess, you know what? There's a few takeaways here. If you're looking for a new Steam Deck, even though going through this whole rigmarole with the fan was annoying, I think I'd still recommend to pick up a refurbished Steam Deck if you can find it. Outside of this, and I'm very confident that Valve would swap this out if you did file an RMA, you're getting a terrific deal. And if you already own a Steam Deck, I will say that I'm quite happy with all of the mods that I've done to this. So starting with the SSD, complete no-brainer. If you've got yourself a 64 gig Steam Deck, not only is that SSD swap relatively easy, but it's gonna give you a lot more storage and importantly more performance. I will say that the back shell is terrific. It feels good. This aluminum plate seems to actually do something, as well as you have adjustable triggers. The Hall sensing joysticks, I would say, is actually a little bit more of a mid upgrade. They don't feel that different, if I'm being entirely honest with you. It's quite similar, and it does require you, if you want to keep full compatibility, to solder. So maybe I would skip that one unless you know you're going to be putting years of use into your Steam Deck. And even then, you could probably just swap the sticks out when you start having a problem. And the fan. If you're having a grindy, loud fan, and your Steam Deck's out of warranty, it actually might be worth buying a new one from iFixit. 25 bucks is a lot of money. Like that's a lot for just replacing a thing that's already built in your Steam Deck. But even without the grinding, just the noise of this one compared to the one I've just installed, I mean, it is unbelievable. We're currently cranking at 4,800 RPM, so almost full tilt on this thing. We're pulling 23 watts on the Steam Deck. I mean, it's pretty much maxed out, and it is whisper quiet, which I think is incredibly impressive. So I'll be honest, if you're having fan issues with your Steam Deck, swapping out the fan might actually not be a bad idea. That plus this backplate quiets this down to the point where I'd say this is about as quiet as a Nintendo Switch. And considering that we're pulling out like, what, 3 times the wattage in handheld mode is legitimately impressive. So I'm curious, would you buy a refurbished Steam Deck? Let me know in the comments below. If you're interested in any of the mods I did, I'll have links to those in the description. Until the next time your fan gets wildly out of control, I'll see you then.